Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sayın Genel Sekreter,
Esteemed Secretary General,
kıymetli Dışişleri Bakanları,
esteemed Ministers of Foreign Affairs,
değerli kardeşlerim,
my dear brothers and sisters, let me greet you all with warm regards and heartfelt feelings. Esselamu Aleyküm, Rahmetullahi ve Berekatüh.
İslam dünyasının siz kıymetli
Today,
temsilcileriyle
I'm really happy and fortunate to be with you here with the esteemed representatives of the Islamic world.
2 gün boyunca gerçekleştirdiğiniz istişarelerin
I hope that the consultations and deliberations you will hold for 2 days here and the decisions that you will take, I hope will prove to be beneficial for the Islamic Ummah and for the entire humanity. I'm sure that you will once again announce to the whole world, make it clear to the whole world, the support of our organization for the achievement of global peace and prosperity through the decisions you will take here. The effects of the meeting at an extraordinarily critical time now will be felt not only in our countries, for sure, but hopefully all over the world. At the beginning of my speech, I once again commemorate with mercy our more than 55,000 brothers and sisters, more than 65% of whom are children and women, who were martyred by Israeli army in Gaza. And I wish healing to our 128,000 brothers and sisters who were injured in the same attacks in Gaza. Turkey knows the pain of our Palestinian brothers and sisters as our own pain and their sadness as our own sorrow. Our Palestinian brothers and sisters should know the following: no matter how dark the darkness of oppression is now, inshallah, God willing, justice will be manifested and victory will surely belong to those who believe. With God's permission, I sincerely believe that we will see good days. When we will talk about victories, we will talk about joy and peace instead of suffering, cruelty and death. Distinguished guests, for the last 2 years now, we have been increasingly confronted with Israel's policies of occupation, destruction, and massacre. With the unconditional support of the Western powers, Israel continues to destabilize our region. First, they attacked Gaza and the West Bank. They have turned Gaza into a gigantic wreck in front of the eyes of the entire world. They have been bombing health facilities, schools, mosques, and churches. They have brutally slaughtered people who were waiting in line for help just to buy a sack of flour, a bowl of soup, or just a loaf of dry bread. Every day, hundreds of innocent civilians, mostly children and women, mind you, are deliberately martyred by Israeli forces. For 21 months now, our 2 million brothers and sisters living in Gaza have been struggling to survive in poor conditions that go far beyond even the concentration camps of the Nazis. In addition to Gaza, Israel also targeted Lebanon, Yemen, and Syria. In addition to air bombardments, they have tried to incite different groups within Syria against the government. So they have tried to trigger turmoil in Syria as well. And now, since the 13th of June, Israel's state terrorism is now being experienced by our neighbor Iran. I would like to say the following clearly. With all these attacks, the Netanyahu government has once again proved that it is the biggest obstacle in front of regional peace. I strongly condemn Israel's attacks on Iran. On behalf of my country and my nation, I offer my condolences for our Iranian brothers and sisters who lost their lives in Israel's terrorist attacks, bombings, and assassinations. We have no doubt that the Iranian people, with thousands of years of history, solidarity in the face of difficulties, and strong state experience, they hopefully, inshallah, will be able to overcome these challenging days. I also find it useful to underline the following. The way to describe and define Israel's attacks on Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and finally, most recently on Iran, is outright banditry. The measures taken by Iran to defend its people in the face of this state terrorism of Israel within the framework of self-defense are measures which are quite natural, legitimate, and legal. Dear brothers and sisters, what we are seeing day by day is the following. It is clear now that these aggressions, these aggressive actions, which violate international law, serve Israel's policy of strategic destabilization in the region. Of course, it is significant that the attacks took place at a time when negotiations on Iran's nuclear program were intensifying. Israel is not subject to any control or audit for its nuclear activities and does not care about anyone in terms of transparency. So it is a great hypocrisy for them to talk against the parties to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. The Netanyahu government actually aimed to undermine the negotiation process with its attacks on the 13th of June. This incident also shows that Netanyahu and his murder ring do not want any issues or any matters to be solved diplomatically. Again, Israel, instead of living in peace side by side with an independent and geographically integrated Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital on the basis of the 1967 borders, instead of coexisting with them, Israel is rather trying to spread the war to the entire region. Just as the spark ignited by Hitler 90 years ago set the whole world on fire from the Pacific to the Atlantic, from the Indian Ocean to the North Sea, today, similarly, Netanyahu's Zionist ambitions have no other purpose than to drag our region and in fact the whole world into a big disaster. Targeting the sanctity of Masjid-i-Aqsa, our first Qibla, attempting to hijack the historical status of Al-Quds al-Sharif. Now, these are intentions to divide our region with some maps in mind. And these even now being talked about in the public. We see all of these as moves of an insidious plan. We are, in fact, well aware of what Netanyahu wants to do. Those who think that they can establish their security by drowning the region in fire, in conflict, chaos, and in tears are following a crude dream. Israel cannot ensure its own security by threatening the security of its own neighbors.
evdeki hesabın
They will gradually see that things may not go as planned. Israel's claim that it will establish order in our region with its bloody hands reveals the blindness and darkness of those who govern that country. I would like to emphasize here that Turkey will not allow the establishment of a new Sykes-Picot order in our region, the borders of which will be drawn with blood. We will not sit back and watch the people of Gaza being punished with hunger, with state and settler terror in the West Bank, and attempts to destroy the historical status quo of Al-Aqsa Mosque and Jerusalem, the cradle of the Abrahamic religions. From here, I once again appeal to the international community, especially to the countries that have influence over Israel. No one should pay attention to Netanyahu's poisonous words wrapped in praise in an attempt to exacerbate the conflict. Our region cannot afford a new war or instability. What we need is common sense, restraint, caution, never to fall into the hiddlenesses of covering up a wrong with a bigger wrong. Today, let's emphasize once again that the solution lies in diplomacy and in dialogue. We are in fact ready to do whatever falls on us, including facilitation. Since the 13th of June, we have made serious efforts to restore calm. And we have really made some efforts. Inshallah, hopefully, we'll continue these contacts patiently until we get actual results. Distinguished ministers, distinguished friends, under the current circumstances, the achievement of a two-state solution has become all the more vital. We should continue to encourage more countries to recognize the state of Palestine. And we must continue to coordinate our efforts to take coercive measures against Israel on the basis of international law and on the basis of the Charter of the United Nations. We hope that the international conference to advance the two-state solution, which was planned to be held in New York this week under the leadership of Saudi Arabia, but was postponed due to the recent attacks. We hope this meeting will be organized at the earliest opportunity. And I wish Saudi Arabia success in this initiative. Of course, I have to underline the following as well. Like between two siblings who are children of the same mother, there may possibly be differences of opinion, and these are actually natural facts of life. Likewise, these are also natural facts of politics and diplomacy. But being brothers or sisters also means sharing the same destiny. For example, the fate of Istanbul is not separate from the fate of Damascus or the fate of Baghdad, that of Cairo, Sana'a, the fate of Islamabad, for example, or that of Kabul, Tripoli, Tehran, the fate of Mecca and Medina, and of course the fate of Jerusalem and Gaza. These fates are not different. Turks, Kurds, Arabs, Persians, Sunni, Shiite, Alawite, African, Asian, Latin American, and all other sects and origins, as well as Muslims, have a common faith, just as we all have a common Qibla. Each and every one of us, we all say, La ilahe illallah Muhammedun Rasulullah. And when it comes to our common cause or causes or our common interests, it is our duty to put aside our differences, and it's our duty to get united. We cannot possibly allow the differences between us, the attitude differences between us, to be a hindrance to us, particularly in this current critical period that we are going through. And recently, we have seen that balances, politics, fragile relations may not always yield results. In this event, in this meeting of our organization, and our organization, by the way, represents the voice and conscience of the Ummah. In this meeting, we need to clearly announce our position, our stance against Israel's policies that have turned the entire region into a place of war. Today, we need to hold on to each other tighter, to tighten our ranks even more, to expand our boundaries of tolerance towards one another even more. That's what we need. We should take the following command of Rasul Ekrem, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, as our guide. He said the following, quote, 2 is better than 1, 3 is better than 2, 4 is better than 3. Get into an alliance, unquote, he said. Yes, we sincerely wish to reach the days when our Palestinian brothers and sisters will eventually achieve national unity among themselves. And it saddens us to see division and fragmentation among our brothers and sisters, while we are all mobilized for the Palestinian people as we are here today. It is our sincere desire to pledge to unity and solidarity, whatever it is, regardless, against separation, against polarization. Dear guests, in a multipolar world, it is a must that the Islamic world of 2 billion people becomes a pole on its own. We are on the eve of a period in which the Islamic world will play a much greater role, but at the same time will assume more responsibility. Turkey's presidency of the Council of Foreign Ministers begins now in a period when the spiral of violence in our region is being triggered again by Israel, and stability and peace are being threatened. We need to show more solidarity to stop Israel's banditry in Syria, in Lebanon, and Iran as well, as it has done in Palestine. So we need solidarity. Our organization, since the day it was founded, has always carried the message of peace and dialogue, and it has always stood firm against all kinds of extremism. And from now on too, we'll fight back and overcome difficulties together. Our organization, with its 57 members, it is the second largest international organization after the United Nations. And as such, as an organization, it is in a better position to make it more efficient. It should be more efficient, it should operate as a tool of economic and social development. In verse 10 of Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah Almighty says the following, quote, believers are only brothers and sisters, so make amends between your brothers and sisters, and fear Allah that you may have mercy, unquote. For this, we will first resolve conflicts within ourselves. If we do not take ownership of our own issues with our own common sense and will, we end up serving the interests of others. As members of a common history, of a common civilization, and above all, as members of a common faith, we have the will and capacity to produce solutions on every issue that concerns our future. During our presidency, we'll continue to actively fight Islamophobia. I would like to take this opportunity to express our satisfaction with Syria's return to membership in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the progress made towards its reintegration into the international community. The glorious victory of our Syrian brothers and sisters by giving hundreds of thousands of martyrs, this victory has opened the doors of a new period. The Syrian people, thank God, look to their future with much more hope now in all respects. Turkey will continue to increase its multi-dimensional support to Syria so that Syria can stand on its own feet. Syria needs the support of all of us, meaning the entire Islamic world, in order to preserve its territorial integrity and its national unity, and in order to achieve lasting stability. I do sincerely believe that all member countries of our organization will make the necessary contribution to Syria in this regard. Furthermore, we should always pay close attention to the problems of Muslim minorities and communities. They act actually as a strong bridge between the countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and other countries. So we should be in unwavering solidarity with Muslim communities in other countries. In this regard, we attach importance to the attitude and decisions taken by our organization so far. Another important point is, my dear brothers and sisters, is the following. We must not allow the UNRUWA, which performs an irreplaceable task of protecting Palestinian refugees, to be paralyzed by Israel. We expect our organization and individual member countries to disrupt Israel's games by supporting UNRUWA materially and spiritually. With the representative office to be opened in Ankara, we'll hopefully make our support to this UN agency more visible from now on. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Cameroon on its successful presidency and express my delight at the increasing weight of African members in our organization. Before I conclude my remarks, I hope that the 51st meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will prove to be fruitful and beneficial for the Islamic world and for the entire humanity. May God help us all. I greet you again with warmest of regards, and please convey my warmest of regards and respect to our brotherly peoples through you. Thank you so much, and I entrust you all to God.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımıza hitapları için şükranlarımızı.
We thank Our Excellence, the President of the Republic of Turkey. He's now leaving the hall.
To leave
Republic of Turkey, His Excellency Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, for joining us today and for sharing that speech with us and for his invaluable contributions.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the 51st session of the Council of Foreign Ministers that we are organizing in Istanbul with the theme of the OIC in a Transforming World. Welcome. The dignity, the solemnity of the civilization of Islam has been carried by this ancient city for many years, and today it is a meeting point where we have new hopes for our joint future. It is at the same time a center of regional and global peace activities. For the last year, I would like to indicate our gratitude for the Republic of Cameroon that have undertaken the position of term president in a successful manner. The strong voice raising from Africa is actually showing that the Islamic world is in a multi-center awakening process. The voice of Africa is our voice. We believe that Africa regaining its position in the regional arena, we believe our organization has an important role to play. Distinguished guests and my distinguished brothers, during our term presidency, we are going to raise the voice of Islamic geography, the Muslim world, and we will prioritize establishing global justice, and we will stand strong against persecution. Today, this meeting is organized in a crisis line from Gaza to Iran, from Lebanon to Yemen. Unfortunately, this is how we are organizing this meeting. There are many countries representing the Muslim world, and we're passing through dire days, and their participation to this meeting is a very good example to our solidarity. Israel, that continues its massacre in Gaza and smears blood on the occupied territories, now is attacking our neighbor Iran and is bringing us to the verge of a holistic disaster in the region. We first of all need to focus on this aggression that does not recognize any boundaries. We are going to discuss our strong strengths and joint steps vis-à-vis this aggression. Actually, all the challenges in the geography of the OIC, we believe it needs to be resolved through regional ownership. Unfortunately, we shouldn't forget that divided ummah weakens and the divided hearts are not victorious. We see the ummah as a whole, and we believe that the Muslim minorities and communities that act as a bridge between the Muslim world and the different countries are an integral part of this group. And we will hopefully discuss their status quo in this meeting, and we will be discussing the joint steps we can take for their faith. Distinguished brothers, multilateralism is the basis of international cooperation, but we're passing through a legitimacy crisis which is questioning the system itself. Increasing intolerance, identity-based polarization, and the erosion of international law is actually increasing the global instability feeling. The protectionist policies have gained a dominant position in international relations. Starting from the United Nations Security Council, the international mechanisms are becoming non-functional, and the violence in Gaza is actually an important example to witness this. Our organization should play a leading role, especially on this point. We are representing 1/4 of the population of the whole world, and Islamic countries that have immense resources should actually be a pioneer of a system, of global system that will defend justice and prioritize rights. The organization should adapt to new conditions, and we need to make sure that our organization adapts to these conditions. The fact that we have high representation to our meeting is showing our determinism that we want to act together and in unity, and it's showing our joint strength. In this turbulent period, Islam is actually the leading guidance that we are all in need of. In the Holy Quran, in the Ali Imran verse, it says, "And hold firmly together to the rope of Allah, and do not be divided." With this understanding, our organization, beyond being a platform of dialogue, should be an important function of coordination and consensus of member states and play an important function to the same. Turkey is a founding member of OIC, and we will continue to play a constructive and pioneering role for the full potential of the organization to be exhibited. During our term presidency, we will focus on 4 main areas in our activities: collaboration and solidarity on the ongoing crisis and focusing on the resolutions, developing further relations with other countries and international institutions between the OIC and these partners, continue defending the rights of the Muslim minorities and communities with determinism, increasing capacities of member countries, and organizing sectoral meetings to this aim. Distinguished participants, the ongoing aggression of Israel and occupationist policies makes sure that we have an Israel problem in our region in all its clarity. This problem is neither a Palestinian, Lebanon, a Syrian, or Yemen, or Iran problem. This is clearly Israel problem. While the negotiations on the nuclear program of Iran are continuing, the attacks that have been undertaken by Israel vis-à-vis Iran, we strongly condemn these attacks. This could lead to a disaster in our region and have negative reflections on the many other regions, and we believe that this unlawful attack should end immediately. The first priority of the international society should be to avoid the spiral of violence, which is going to even endanger the regional and global security further. As Turkey, we are ready to fulfill our obligations. Under the leadership of His Excellency, the President of our Republic, we are supporting any diplomatic step to avoid the further escalation of the tensions, and we are constantly in contact with the relevant partners. The members of the OIC should act in unison vis-à-vis Israel's attack, and they should have a strong solidarity with Iran vis-à-vis these attacks. The massacre policies and the crimes against humanity of Israel against the Palestinians are continuing. It's not just in Gaza, but the Western Bank is being transformed into a war zone. The aim of Israel is to exile all Palestinians and undermine the two-state solution vision. Permanent ceasefire, releasing the hostages, and uninterrupted humanitarian access to Gaza is our priority. The negotiations that are continuing to this aim are strongly supported by us. We would like to thank Qatar and Egypt for their efforts in this problem. The two-state solution and the just and permanent peace is only achieved through this two-state solution. The ongoing occupation in the Palestinian territory is the root cause of all the clashes in our region, and we can see this more clearly now. The Palestinian issue and owning Jerusalem is the reason of existence for the OIC. My distinguished brothers, vis-à-vis our joint efforts today with our Syrian brothers, we are walking towards a stable and welfare Syria target. And we're very happy that Syria is back in our organization. The loosening of the ongoing sanctions, and in a simultaneous manner, we should actually stand by our Syrian brothers. The Balkans are an ancient part of the Muslim geography, and we do not just have historical ties, but it's also carrying the signatures of our joint civilization and our fraternity. Our Muslim brothers have passed through various challenges, and today they're standing against determinism and dignity vis-à-vis the threat of being divided. We should show that they're not alone, and the Muslim world is actually owning our Bosnian brothers. This is our joint task. The discrimination and secessionist rhetoric is totally condemned by us, and the revisionist approaches pertaining to religion and ethnicity are condemned by us. On the other hand, for 3 years there have been clashes that created deep pain in our Sudanese brothers. As Turkey, we are supporting all regional and international peace activities to resolve this crisis, and we are inviting international society to sincerely contribute to peace and welfare and stability in Sudan. We should not forget that the resolution of this problem is not just important for the Sudanese people, but also for the whole continent and predominantly the Horn of Africa. On the other hand, Pakistan and Hindustan are, India are passing through some clashes, and this is actually putting forward the vulnerability in Southeast Asia of peace and stability. The decision of ceasefire between the parties is appreciated by us, and we do hope that this is going to be resolving the problem through dialogue. If the clashes starting from Kashmir is not resolved, the tension potential is going to increase. We should actually make the dialogue channels functional. A direct and healthy dialogue is going to be important for peace, security, and stability in Southeast Asia. In the island of Cyprus, there are two nations and two states. The Islamic world is an important unity, and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus is represented as an observer in our family. But unfortunately, the Turks of Cyprus have been subject to unjust and inhuman isolation that have been imposed on them for decades now. We invite all the member countries to support the natural rights of the Turkish people living in Cyprus and support them directly. The Turkish Muslim minority and the Turkish population living in the Dodecanese are also subject to important violations that eliminates them to benefit from their fundamental rights. The interest of the OIC vis-à-vis this issue is important for the ethnic identities, the religious, education, and cultural rights to be recognized by the Greek authorities. My distinguished brothers, our Ummah is great and strong, and we should use this strength to bring stability and welfare to our region. We should stand against all those people who are destructing their environment, and it is now the day that our organization should be one body and one soul to give one voice. Before I end my remarks, I would like to thank the representatives of our ministry and the Secretary General for the organization of this meeting. And the exchange of opinion and negotiations that we are going to undertake during the meetings, I believe, will bring fruitful results. During our term presidency, we will have closer cooperation with all the member states. And once again, I would like to thank you for your valuable support.
Geliyor da şurada ne diyorsun kardeşim? Şurada ne diyorsun?
Beyefendi geliyor efendim.
Şurada ne diyorsun?
Moritanya efendim. Moritanya geliyor.
Now I will hand over the chairmanship for a brief time, my brother from Mauritania, because my president is coming to address the distinguished guests. With your permission, I will go and greet him. Thank you.
Buradan efendim. Buyursun.
And as High Representative for the United Nations Alliance of Civilization, a mandate I honor to carry forward with humility and full determination. I seize this opportunity to thank the OIC member states for support for my new mandate. And I also congratulate the Republic of Turkey for taking over the chairmanship of the 51st session of OIC. My dear friends, around the world, Muslims continue to face discrimination and persistent dehumanization for no other reason than their faith. Furthermore, Muslims are often challenged with institutional discrimination and socioeconomic restriction. Such biases are manifested in the stigmatization and the unwarranted racial profiling of Muslims, reinforced by biased media representation and by the anti-Muslim rhetoric and policies of some political leaders. Many such acts of intolerance and suspicion may not be reflected into official statistics, but they degrade people's dignity of our common humanity. It's in this context that the adoption of the General Assembly Resolution 78-264 in 2024 on measures to combat Islamophobia is a high milestone in our collective effort to combat this scourge. The resolution condemns the incitement to discrimination, hostility, or violence against Muslims as manifested in the increasing number of incidents of desecration of the Holy Book, attack on mosques and religious sites, and the insidious stereotyping of Muslims that too often goes unchallenged. My dear friend, Islamophobia is not merely a matter of prejudice. It is a violation of human rights, a threat to social cohesion, and affront to the principle enshrined in the UN Charter. Islamophobia is not confined to geographical boundaries. It manifests its overt violence, but also in the quietest cruelty of exclusion. When Muslim women are denied employment because of their health care, when children are bullied in the school because of their name, when entire communities are survived or vilified in political discourse, that is Islamophobia. Equally concerning is the digital amplification of hatred. Online platforms have become fertile ground for the spread of anti-Muslim narrative, often reinforced by algorithms. The digital space, once hailed as frontier of freedom, is now too often a theater for hostility. My friends, but while the problem is global, so too must be the solution. Resolution 78-264 rightly emphasizes the transformative power of intercultural, interreligious dialogue. The United Nations Alliance of Civilization stands ready to deepen partnership to promote mutual respect, coexistence, and understanding across faiths, culture, and sectors. Our work is not to defend any one religion, it's to defend the human right of all people to practice their religion or faith without fear. As a special envoy, I intend to work in close coordination with OIC member states and member states, civil society, faith leaders, and regional organizations to advance a comprehensive strategic rooted in prevention, education, legal protection, and awareness raising. This includes, to mention a few, support a national action plan and a strategy addresses Islamophobia, to work on content analysis, encouraging responsible media and digital governance to counter online hate speech, to establish a compendium to serve as results hub, document incidents of Islamophobia based on a robust monitoring mechanism, to identify legislative gaps that may prevent the adoption of adequate measures to address Islamophobic incidents, to develop media literacy programs to promote critical thinking skills, to collaborate and coordinate with counterparts in other international regional organizations, including envoys to combat Islamophobia, to conduct visits to places where acts of Islamophobia are recurrent, engage with relevant stakeholders to find common ground in addressing this incident, to advance the mapping of religious sites through the UN Plan of Action of Safeguarding Religious Sites, which was developed by OIC. We will go to Astana in September to this summit of traditional religious leaders, and in Astana we'll present a specific plan to how to protect mosques and Islamic sites. Last but not least, to develop an action plan to combat Islamophobia that will be finalized in 2026. I also plan to convene a high-level event on addressing Islamophobia at the UN headquarters in New York in 2026. It will be good if we could have that on 14 March in honor of the International Day of Combating Islamophobia. The high-level gathering will bring together member states and non-state actors, including civil society, religious leaders, think tanks, and media, to exchange views on good practices in addressing Islamophobia. Allow me to also to underline the importance of accountability. In this context, an annual report on implementation effort is necessary. This is not a bureaucratic exercise. It is a moment to measure progress, identify gaps, and ensure that our action match our rhetoric. In closing, let us remind ourselves that combating Islamophobia is not a task for Muslims alone. It's a global imperative requiring political will, moral courage, and sustained multilateral cooperation. Is the demonization of Islam in Europe and beyond is not acceptable, not justifiable. So 2 million of people in this world have the right to live in peace and dignity, free of fear and injustice. Let us reaffirm our shared vision. Our world with diversity is not merely tolerated but celebrated. A world with dignity is not contingent upon identity or confined to a specific religion or faith. Let us rise to the occasion. The stakes are too high, and the silence of inaction is no longer an option. I thank you very much. Shukran.
Shukran. I thank you. I thank you, Your Excellency.
Türkiye Cumhurbaşkanı Sayın Recep Tayyip Erdoğan.
Distinguished guests, the President of the Republic of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, has honored us with his presence. Now I would like to invite His Excellency to deliver his remarks.